Hey guys, I want to do a video today because it's July 4th and I want to talk about great Americans. Specifically, I want to give you guys 8 examples of great Americans. Now, there's a lot of people out there that I think a lot of us would consider a great American figure. There's the founding fathers, there's presidents, there's entrepreneurs, there's, actors and sports figures. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that I think a lot of us would consider, okay, that's a great American. But I just wanted to throw 8 out there. It's in no particular order, and this is not the end-all, be-all list of great Americans. I just wanted to throw a list together of 8 people who I think are excellent examples of a great American. Okay, now first on the list, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. Now, some of you are going to disagree, and I get that, but Michael Jordan is the most well-known athletic figure in the world, period. Ever in any sport. I mean, he's more well known across this country and across the world than any other sports figure in history. Add to that he's an exceptional businessman and entrepreneur. He's come out of retirement twice to play in a sport that he loves. He's a fantastic athlete. Some people may have disagreements with his politics, but that's not what this is about. This is kind of showing this iconic American image, this great American image, somebody that a lot of people look up to, and something that really brings people from other countries to think we are great Americans. And Michael Jordan fits that role very well. All right, now when we're talking about great Americans, we have to talk about George Washington. He was one of the, if not the greatest American ever. I mean, he really is what has kind of set the playing field and really set the example for what we look for in a leader. He was a military general who fought for our freedom and then went on to become one of the greatest, if not the greatest president that we've ever had. I mean, he really kind of embodies that image of a great American leader, and for that, he is definitely a great American. All right, now if we're going to talk about great Americans, we have to talk about Martin Luther King. Now, some people may not agree with his politics, but above and beyond his politics, the movements that he started, this need, this want, this demand for freedom and liberty and everybody to have rights that they deserve, it really is something that's continued on to this day. Even up into what we are experiencing now with people fighting for their constitutional rights and their Second Amendment rights. Okay, we are getting a lot of the benefits that started with Martin Luther King and his ideas and his philosophies. Even though his politics may have been different from what a lot of us feel today, he started these movements, and for that, he really is a great, iconic American figure. Now, if we're going to talk about great Americans, we have to talk about John Wayne. There's really not much to say here. I mean, whether it was on screen or in real life, John Wayne pretty much fit the iconic image of a great American better than anybody else. I mean, he portrayed this image of this great, strong American figure better than anybody ever had before and better than anyone has since. I mean, he is this kind of iconic figure that people from all across the world looked up to and still do look up to in many, many ways as this ultimately iconic American figure, and he just has to be on this list. All right, now once again, pushing past someone's politics and maybe even their personal life, we have to talk about JFK. I mean, he was this iconic image of a great American figure. He really pushed forth this idea of freedom and liberty and personal rights. He pushed us to the moon. I mean, there's a lot of good that he did, even if you don't agree with his politics or with some of the things he did in his personal life. He really was this iconic image of a great American. All right, now if we're going to talk about great Americans, we have to talk about John Moses Browning. He is probably the greatest mind in firearms in history. I mean, his innovations, his designs have gone on to spawn some of the greatest firearm designs in history, and that still continue to this day. I mean, there is no doubt that firearms are such a strong part of American culture and American history, and without John Moses Browning, a lot of that strong culture and a lot of that history wouldn't even exist. There is no doubt that John Moses Browning is a great American. All right, now we're going to dip back into the presidential pool again, and we're going to talk about Abraham Lincoln. Now, this is a truly iconic American, hands down. I mean, it's not just about what he did. I mean, he went out and he sought to free slaves. He sought to end slavery, and he did that. He accomplished this. I mean, he was the initial jolt that started on this long and difficult path that eventually led to a group of people not being treated unequally anymore. And he was the beginning of it. And for that, he will always be a great American. But more than that, and more than just the fact that he was a president, he was a good man. I mean, by all accounts, he was one of the most genuine and honest men around. He truly believed in what he was doing, and he wasn't doing it for political gain. I mean, what more can you ask for in a great American? Now, last but certainly not least, we have to talk about Henry Ford. This is the man who ultimately changed the way we look at manufacturing and industry in this country, and not just in this country, but across the world. There's absolutely no doubt that our economy growing the way it did in the early part of the 20th century and on into the later part of the 20th century is almost exclusively because Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing and industry. I mean, it wasn't just that he created a vehicle. He did so much more than that. His technology, his ideas went on to be implemented in just about every business, not just in this country, but across the world. I mean, if there is anyone who deserves to be looked at as kind of this iconic great American, it's Henry Ford. All right, guys, well, there you have it. There's my list of 8 great Americans. I think all of these people are really iconic American figures that are looked up to by, not just people here in our country, but by people all over the world. And I think that's why they deserve to be on this list. Now, I know there's a ton of other great Americans out there who all deserve to be on lists like this. So, leave me a comment down below. Let me know who you think deserves to be on this list, or make a video response and make your own list of 8 great Americans who you think deserve to be recognized for their kind of iconic American image. So, anyway, that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. Questions, comments, leave them down below, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.